Welcome to the Vitality Equation, exploring research in health and well-being one paper at a time. I'm excited to dive into today's topic. It's a fascinating one, and it could really change how we think about learning and well-being. So let's get started. What do you think about personalized education?
I'm definitely intrigued. The title alone. The impact of personalized microbiome modulation strategies on the effectiveness of personalized education and learning outcomes. A longitudinal study exploring the interplay between gut microbiota, educational approaches, and neurocognitive functioning in diverse populations is a mouthful, but it promises a lot. The idea of tailoring education to someone's gut biome and seeing how that impacts learning is pretty wild. I'm curious about the practical implications, especially from a cognitive perspective.
Absolutely. It's a complex system, right? It's not just about textbooks and classrooms anymore. We're talking about the gut, the brain, learning styles. It's all interconnected. And the longitudinal study part is key. We need to see how these changes play out over time. What are your initial thoughts on how the microbiome could even influence learning?
Well, we know the gut-brain axis is a real thing. The microbiome affects neurotransmitter production, inflammation, things that directly impact cognitive function. So it stands to reason that if you can optimize someone's gut health, you could potentially improve their focus, memory, and even mood, which would all translate to better learning outcomes. Think about it if someone's struggling with brain fog because of gut issues. Traditional teaching methods aren't going to be as effective.
That makes sense. It's like trying to run a computer with a corrupted operating system. You can have the best software, but it's not going to work properly. So this study is looking at how personalized education can be optimized by also considering the gut microbiome. I'm particularly interested in how they're measuring neurocognitive functioning. Are they using things like EEG or just standardized cognitive tests?
Good point, Otto. I'd imagine they'd be using a combination. Cognitive tests are easy to administer and provide quantifiable data, but neuroimaging techniques could give us a deeper understanding of how the microbiome is affecting the brain. I wonder if they're also looking at things like sleep patterns and exercise levels, because those are huge factors in both gut health and cognitive function. It's all a big feedback loop.
Right, it's a holistic approach. It's not just about tweaking the microbiome in isolation. It's about looking at the whole lifestyle picture. And the diverse populations aspect is crucial too. What works for one person might not work for another, depending on their genetics, environment, and cultural background.
Exactly. And that's where the personalized part of personalized education really comes into play. It's not just about adjusting the curriculum to someone's learning style. It's about tailoring the entire learning experience, including their diet and lifestyle, to their individual needs. This reminds me of some of the work I've been doing with CBT techniques, recognizing that each person's cognitive landscape is unique. We can't expect a one-size-fits-all approach to work.
And it's not just about academics either. Think about social emotional learning. If someone's gut health is affecting their mood and social interactions, that's going to impact their ability to learn and thrive in a classroom environment. So, addressing the microbiome could have a ripple effect on all aspects of their development. It's like, a foundation for everything else.
Absolutely. It really emphasizes how interconnected everything is. I've been reading a lot about how simple practices like meditation can actually influence brain processes at a cellular level. If lifestyle changes can have that kind of impact, then it makes sense that modulating the microbiome could also have a significant effect on neurocognitive function. I wonder if incorporating mindfulness practices into the educational setting could further amplify the benefits of personalized microbiome interventions, almost like a synergy.
That's a great point, Jesus. It aligns with what I was saying about CBT. If you can combine personalized microbiome interventions with targeted cognitive training, you could potentially create a very powerful learning environment. Imagine, for instance, identifying specific cognitive processes that are lagging and then designing both dietary and cognitive exercises to address those deficits. It's like a biocognitive feedback loop.
Yes, and let's say a child struggles with focus and attention. You could tailor their diet to support the production of neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, which are crucial for attention. And at the same time, you could incorporate mindfulness exercises to help them learn to regulate their attention and reduce distractions. Then, you'd pair that with physical activities known to boost cognitive function.
It's so interesting how it all comes together. I recently read about a study where exercise was shown to influence the communication between astrocytes and microglia in the brain. These cells play a crucial role in brain health and cognitive function. It makes me wonder if exercise could also indirectly influence the microbiome and further enhance the benefits of personalized education. Perhaps specific types of exercise could be more beneficial than others, like yoga versus, HIIT training.
That's a really insightful question. And it also highlights the importance of looking at the specific mechanisms involved. It's not enough to just say that exercise is good for you. We need to understand how it's affecting the brain and the gut microbiome. This brings me back to the idea of personalized approaches. Maybe some people respond better to certain types of exercise than others, depending on their genetic makeup and their current microbiome profile. That would be a really fascinating area to explore.
Absolutely. I'd love to see research on how different exercise modalities affect the diversity and composition of the gut microbiome. We know that endurance athletes often have a more diverse microbiome than sedentary individuals. But what about other types of exercise? And how does sleep factor into all of this? We know that sleep deprivation can wreak havoc on both the gut microbiome and cognitive function. So optimizing sleep hygiene could be another key component of personalized education.
The sleep piece is huge. I found that even just a few nights of poor sleep can completely throw off my focus and mood. I can only imagine how that impacts a student's ability to learn. It makes you think about the school environment too. Are schools creating environments that are conducive to healthy sleep habits? Are they providing opportunities for students to distress and recharge throughout the day? Or are they just perpetuating a cycle of sleep deprivation and academic pressure?
That's a really important point. The school environment plays a crucial role, and it's not just about sleep. It's also about stress. We know that chronic stress can negatively impact both the gut microbiome and cognitive function. So schools need to create environments that are supportive and nurturing, where students feel safe and empowered to learn. This is where CBT can come in. Teaching students cognitive restructuring techniques can help them manage stress and build resilience.
Yes, and creating opportunities for movement throughout the day. Sitting for long periods of time is terrible for both physical and mental health. Incorporating movement breaks, outdoor activities, and even just standing desks can make a big difference. And it doesn't have to be complicated. Even just a few minutes of stretching or walking around can help improve focus and reduce stress.
It's almost like we need to rethink the entire educational model. Instead of focusing solely on academic achievement, we need to prioritize the holistic well-being of students. That means creating environments that support healthy gut microbiomes, promote good sleep habits, reduce stress, and encourage physical activity. It's a big shift, but I think it's a necessary one.
I agree completely. And it's not just about schools. This applies to all learning environments, including workplaces. Imagine a company that provides its employees with personalized nutrition plans, access to mindfulness training, and opportunities for physical activity. You'd likely see a significant improvement in productivity, creativity, and overall well-being. It's all about creating a culture of wellness.
Absolutely. And it's not just about productivity. It's about creating a healthier and happier society. If we can start teaching these principles to children at a young age, they'll be more likely to carry them into adulthood and create a more sustainable and equitable world. It's an investment in the future, really.
It's empowering, really. The idea that we can take control of our health and well-being through simple lifestyle changes is incredibly motivating. It makes me want to dive deeper into the research and learn more about the specific mechanisms involved. I feel really encouraged after this discussion. I've been reading about spotted lanternflies threatening New York vineyards lately, and honestly, shadows bring me down, but thinking proactively about microbiome health and mental well-being helps me reframe these worries. It emphasizes finding inner harmony, even when faced with external challenges.
That's a great analogy, Jesus. The idea of proactively managing challenges resonates with me. This conversation reminds me of the cognitive strategies I teach to patients. It's about anticipating potential problems, reframing negative thoughts, and developing coping mechanisms. The spotted lanternfly situation highlights the need for proactive strategies, and that applies to our own health as well. How can we anticipate potential stressors and actively work on cognitive processes that foster resilience?
Yeah, I feel the same way. Learning about the spotted lanternfly actually made me think about how environmental factors can disrupt my own routine, like affecting my sleep and exercise. It's a reminder that stress management is key, and I need to be even more proactive about prioritizing sleep and sticking to my workout schedule.
Well, thinking about concrete examples helps, I think. Let's move on to discussing some research that supports these ideas. I know, Otto, you had a study you wanted to talk about?
Yes. I wanted to share a paper titled Atypical Antipsychotics Alter Microglial Functions via Astrocyte-Derived Extracellular Vesicles. It's a bit technical, but bear with me. Basically, it explores how certain drugs affect brain function, not directly through neurons, but through other brain cells called astrocytes and microglia. Astrocytes are like support cells, and microglia are the brain's immune cells. And they communicate with each other using tiny packets called extracellular vesicles.
Okay, so it's like a postal service for the brain, with astrocytes sending messages to microglia in these little vesicles.
Exactly. And the interesting thing is that atypical antipsychotics, which are often used to treat mental health disorders, seem to alter this communication pathway. They change the contents of the vesicles that astrocytes send to microglia, which in turn affects how microglia function.
Wow, so these drugs aren't just directly targeting neurons, they're also influencing the brain's immune system through these support cells. That's fascinating and kind of unsettling too, right? It also makes me think, if drugs can alter this communication, could other things like lifestyle changes also have an effect?
That's exactly what I was thinking. If these tiny vesicles are so important for communication between brain cells, then could exercise potentially influence their release or their contents? Maybe exercise could be a way to naturally modulate microglial function and improve brain health. It's almost like a natural alternative, or at least a complementary approach.
That's a brilliant connection. And it ties back to our original discussion about personalized education. If we can understand how different lifestyle factors, like diet and exercise, affect this astrocyte microglia communication, we could potentially tailor interventions to optimize brain function and improve learning outcomes. Imagine identifying someone whose microglia are underactive and then designing an exercise program to boost their activity.
It also makes me wonder about the role of inflammation. We know that chronic inflammation can negatively impact brain function, and microglia are key players in the inflammatory response. Could these atypical antipsychotics be working, in part, by reducing inflammation in the brain? And if so, could lifestyle changes that reduce inflammation, like a healthy diet and regular meditation, have a similar effect?
That's a great question, Jesus, and it highlights the importance of looking at the bigger picture. It's not just about modulating microglia function in isolation. It's about addressing the underlying factors that are contributing to inflammation. Things like processed foods, lack of sleep, and chronic stress can all trigger inflammation in the body, which can then affect the brain.
And that's where CBT comes back into the picture. Chronic stress often leads to negative thought patterns and maladaptive behaviors. By teaching people cognitive restructuring techniques, we can help them manage stress and reduce inflammation. It's all interconnected, and it requires a holistic approach.
So, going back to the study, what exactly did they find in terms of how these drugs were affecting the vesicles and the microglia? Was it a change in the number of vesicles released or the content inside them, or both?
The study found that the atypical antipsychotics altered the content of the vesicles, specifically the levels of certain proteins and signaling molecules. This, in turn, affected the activity of microglia, making them less inflammatory and more supportive of neuronal health. It's like the drugs were sending a message to the microglia to calm down and stop attacking the neurons.
So it's like reprogramming the microglia through these vesicles? That's pretty amazing. It makes you wonder if we could find ways to do that naturally, without drugs. Maybe certain nutrients or phytochemicals could have a similar effect on the content of the vesicles. Like, could turmeric, which is known for its anti-inflammatory properties, influence the astrocyte microglia communication in a beneficial way?
That's a fantastic idea, and it aligns with my interest in natural remedies. There are so many plants and herbs that have been used for centuries to promote health and well-being. Maybe some of them could be working, in part, by modulating this astrocyte microglia communication. Think of adaptogens, for instance, which are known to help the body adapt to stress. Could they be influencing the content of the vesicles and making the microglia more resilient to stress?
These are all great questions, and they highlight the potential for personalized interventions. If we can identify the specific mechanisms by which different lifestyle factors and natural remedies affect astrocyte microglia communication, we could potentially tailor interventions to address individual needs. Imagine creating a personalized plan that combines diet, exercise, mindfulness, and specific supplements to optimize brain function and improve learning outcomes.
And it's not just about improving learning outcomes. This could also have implications for preventing and treating neurodegenerative diseases. We know that microglia play a key role in diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. If we can find ways to modulate their activity in a beneficial way, we could potentially slow down or even prevent the progression of these diseases.
Absolutely. It's all about promoting brain health throughout the lifespan. And that starts with understanding the complex communication networks within the brain and finding ways to support them naturally. I mean, if we knew the exact dosages of things that improve astrocyte microglia communication, that would truly revolutionize how people do health.
So, what are some of the limitations of this study, and what future research would you like to see based on these findings?
Well, one limitation is that this study was done in vitro, meaning in a lab dish, not in living organisms. So we can't be sure that the same effects would be seen in humans. We need more research to confirm these findings in vivo. And I'd also like to see studies that look at the long-term effects of these drugs on astrocyte microglia communication. What happens after months or years of treatment? Are there any potential side effects?
I agree. And I'd also like to see studies that explore the potential for personalized interventions. Can we identify biomarkers that predict how someone will respond to these drugs or to lifestyle interventions? And can we tailor interventions to address individual needs based on their specific astrocyte microglia profile? This requires a much deeper understanding of the underlying mechanisms and the individual variability in brain function.
From my perspective, I'm really interested in seeing more research on the role of natural remedies in modulating astrocyte microglia communication. Can we identify specific plants or herbs that have a beneficial effect on these cells? And can we determine the optimal dosages and delivery methods to maximize their effectiveness? It's also important to consider the potential for synergistic effects. Could combining different natural remedies have a greater impact than using them in isolation?
Yes, and we need to look at the impact of different lifestyle factors on astrocyte microglia communication. How does exercise, sleep, diet, and stress affect these cells? And can we develop targeted interventions to optimize brain function based on these findings? This requires a multidisciplinary approach that combines neuroscience, nutrition, exercise physiology, and behavioral psychology.
Absolutely. And it's important to remember that the brain doesn't exist in isolation. It's constantly interacting with the rest of the body, including the gut microbiome. So we need to consider the interplay between the brain, the gut, and the immune system when developing interventions to optimize brain function.
This has been a really enlightening conversation. It's amazing to think about the potential for personalized interventions to improve learning outcomes, prevent neurodegenerative diseases, and promote brain health throughout the lifespan. It's a complex field, but it's also incredibly exciting. And I am walking away with a new passion for understanding these processes.
I agree. It's a reminder that we have more control over our brain health than we might think. Simple lifestyle changes can have a profound impact on our cognitive function and overall well-being. And that's something that we can all start working on today. If nothing else, I am now more committed to getting more sleep.
Definitely. It's all about taking a holistic approach and recognizing that our brain is constantly adapting to our environment and our experiences. By understanding the underlying mechanisms, we can empower ourselves to make choices that support our brain health and improve our quality of life. It makes me excited to continue researching and to see where these findings lead.
Well, that wraps up our discussion for today. Thanks for joining me on the Vitality Equation. I hope you found this conversation informative and inspiring. Until next time, take care and prioritize your well-being.